On the topic of scale, we even use like a lot of people are in the position where they got their business to about 6 figures. That's kind of like the first step, right? From 6 to 7, what was that transition like for you? Was it hiring key people? Was it, extra organization? What did that look like for you?
Business is like the ultimate personal growth potential because you're doing and learning all these things that you were never taught. And I think one thing I've heard is that usually getting to 7 figures is having one channel of acquisition that works really well. So my experience was that was Instagram, right? We were really good at building a following on our Top Dog Law account. I think we have 299,000 followers. So, we'd appreciate that extra couple hundred we need. No, but we had built that channel and we were getting calls and DMs and leads through that channel, and we were running paid ads. And it was like, we got to $1 million through that one channel of acquiring customers. And I think to get from 1 million to 8 figures, it's like you have to have multiple acquisition channels. So that's one point, is like, I think most people try to focus on like doing 7 different social medias, right? It's like, how about you just have one social media platform that you're actually consistent on, that you actually drive customers to, and that you actually convert those customers and make money. And then once you build that one social media platform to $1 million channel for you, then you can worry about like having, all the different social media platforms.
So you found out where your target demographic, target audience is.
Yeah.
And then you decided on Instagram, or you're like, whatever platform, when I start posting, it starts blowing up, let's just double down on that?
I wish I could say it was totally strategic, right?
Yeah.
The reality is it was probably a little bit of both. I went on this trip in 2019 to Bali with a bunch of entrepreneurs from Philly. I like to tell this story. So I played basketball with these guys, and it's funny. They're all now in Atlanta, like circle of CEOs. They're crushing it, right? And we went to Bali, and they were making tons of money off their Instagram. And funny enough, I didn't even have an Instagram account. Like I was.
Wait, this is 2019.
2019.
You had no Instagram.
I had no Instagram. And like my boys, when I was in my partying days, would be like, dude, you're sleeping. How are you going out and you don't have a way to like get a girl's Instagram account?
Right.
like, dude, like, but I don't know. I wasn't into it. And then I saw all of these guys that were making money through using it as a promotional tool. And that was what opened my eyes, was like, I was trying to do this lawyer thing, but I was figuring out, how can I compete with these lawyers that are spending millions of dollars on the traditional media platforms? And then I saw these other guys in other industries doing it on social media. And I was like, oh, I wonder if I could combine these two things. And that's how I started with Instagram. I think the other part, in addition to your social media strategy, is when you first start, and even if you're making like a couple $100,000 a year, you're really doing everything as the entrepreneur, right? Yeah. And so like, you are involved in the marketing, you are involved in the actual operations of creating the product or making the service. You're involved in the HR of like hiring and recruiting new people to join your company. You're meeting with the accountant to go over the financials. And I think as you go from 6 figures to 7 figures, and then 7 figures to 8 figures, you start to identify which are those areas that like you suck at, right? This is back to the strengths. Like for me, I'm better on the sales and marketing side than I am in the operations. So my first, I think 8 hires were all operations people, because I'm like, I can be a beast on the promotion and sales front. Like I can literally hold down this section of the business just myself, and I'll do a great job and I'll love it.
Yeah.
But this part of the business, I need help, And so it's like, I think from getting to that 7-figure mark was hiring people at that one area that I'm not good at.
So what were like the first 1 to 2 hires, and then how'd you hire them? Because I know a lot of people have no idea. I mean, they go from corporate to trying to side hustle that becomes a business.
Yeah.
And then they're like, I don't know how to hire anyone. And they go through 12 VAs to try to figure out the right one.
Yeah.
What was your process?
So one thing I did do that I think was a little counterintuitive is I actually hired a full-time videographer, like a marketing person was my first hire. And that was mostly because I did have some capital that I knew I could use, right? Like if I didn't have any money at all, I probably wouldn't have done that. But I think what that did is it really did force me to start creating content for my business and start generating leads, because I knew, like, a lot of people focus on having the perfect website or getting their LLC or doing this or doing that. But I knew, because I had, studied enough of these law firms, that like the key was getting the phone to ring. So I was like, if I can put all my initial energy on like, how do I get like customers, even before you have your LLC, before you have anything, like how can I have people who want my service or my product? And so for me, that was investing in the videographer. And then once I started to prove, I still remember, this was June of 2019, literally, my phone started to ring and I was like,
and you're answering all the calls yourself.
Yeah, I think I had a virtual receptionist. So like you can pay per minute to like a Call Ruby or one of these services that'll pick up and say, hey, Top Dog Law, and then they'll call you. And then if it's a customer, they'll three-way the call to you. That was one of the things. It makes you look like a little bit more professional when you're not professional, But also, it protects your time from like, spam and other kinds of calls that you would pick up by yourself. But I still remember the fear when the phone actually rang and it was like a customer. It was like, I wanted so hard this thing to happen, which was like people to call me about their accident case. But then when they did, it was like, I panicked, right? It was like, oh crap. Like, because I was literally so focused on how do I just get the phone to ring? And I think that was the right attitude though, because then the phone started ringing, once a week, then once a day, then twice a day, then 5 times a day, then 5 times an hour, then 20 times an hour, and it's like, as those calls came in, then I quickly moved to, okay, I need to hire my first ops people. And so your question, to answer it directly, was, well, where did I get those people? I made ads on Indeed, and I posted those ads in Indeed, and then I met with all the people that interviewed for those positions myself, and I tried to hire people who had done the thing before because I didn't know how to train them because I had never done it, right? So it was like, I think a little hack to like, get qualified people is to overpay them, usually what someone in that salary makes. So for me, it was, a personal injury pre-litigation paralegal. Maybe they typically make 60 grand a year. Well, maybe I'll pay 90 grand a year, but I'll pay 90 grand a year to get somebody that's done it for 10 years. And the reason why is because they can teach me more than I can teach them, and that was kind of a strategy I used in the beginning was, I even did this with my executive assistant. She had worked for a sports agency, and I was like, I don't know how to use an executive assistant. Like, I've never had an executive assistant. Like, I need her to teach me what an executive assistant does. So it's like, rather than going and saying, I'm going to get like the cheapest person, it's like, maybe I'll actually get like an experienced person that's like near the top of the salary range, but they can teach me what to do and not the other way around. I think this is especially true when you're a young entrepreneur. Like, even now in my management team, we have about 52 employees. We have a management team of like 6 people that oversee the company. I'm still the youngest person on the management team.
Wow.
So it's like, some of that's insecurity when you're young, but then some of that is also true that other people do have more experience than you. And if you can advertise and on job boards, right, you can advertise the position and get people in there who've already done the thing, you can move a lot faster.